going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Hateful Truth game review series. My air conditioner is getting fucking loud as hell, and I'm about to go punch it. Shut up. Okay. Sorry about that. And today, why not start a unique review with a unique beginning, right? Today we are going to talk about an extremely unique game. Today we are going to talk about an extremely controversial game. A game that is probably one of the most polarizing games in human history, okay? And I have mixed feelings about it. I'll be honest, I did not beat it. And the reason I did not beat it is because the game requires such a massive investment of time in order to beat it that I actually just, number one, didn't want to invest that much time into this particular game. And number two, I actually stopped having fun with the game. Now, not to say that that is going to be the case for everyone who plays this game. Just like every Hateful Truth review, we're going to be fair, and we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, we're going to discuss all the aspects of the game, and then I'm going to give you my final opinion on it and how I think it should really be scored when you are comparing it to all the other games out there, and when you are comparing it to what the average gamer is going to be looking for, because that's really what game scores are for, okay? So, the game we're talking about, if you don't know yet, is Dark Souls, okay? Now, I did get the PlayStation 3 version, which everyone said is the better version. I really don't know if there's any differences between the two console versions, so. Dark Souls. First thing I want to say is Dark Souls is the spiritual successor or slash sequel to Demon Souls, which came out in 2009, and by many accounts, people said it was probably, they thought it was one of the best role-playing games ever, and Game of the Year for a role-playing game. On the flip side of that, there was a completely different movement that said absolutely not. Demon Souls is just a retardedly hard game. A game shouldn't be judged as good just because it is hard or difficult. That the game wasn't self-explanatory enough. The game was gruelingly hard on purpose, and to the point where it's almost like trolling the player in certain parts where there's no way that you will survive or know what to do without doing it multiple times of trial and error, and or having a strategy guide or having someone hold your hand and tell you exactly what the best way is to beat the game in a certain part, okay? So, when Dark Souls was announced, and, you know, I've now been doing gaming full-time for the past year, people jumped on it and said, Phil, you're going to play Dark Souls. And I was on the fence at first, to be completely honest. I really was thinking maybe I shouldn't play it because I know this game's going to take too long to beat. It's going to be a very difficult, grueling game for me. I know I'm no expert. I haven't played Demon Souls. I haven't played a game that's this unforgiving ever, probably, in my life, besides maybe the original Atari and NES games. You know, we're talking back in the day when the difficulty level on some of those games was insanely high. So I was on the fence about doing it, but then I said, you know what, I know during this time of the year there was a little bit of downtime this particular week. I didn't play it the week that it was released, I played it the week after when it was a little bit slower for new releases, and I played it for 3 days, and after 3 days I can say I've had enough. And I'm going to explain and we're going to talk a little bit about it, okay? So, Dark Souls, what is it? What the hell is up with the difficulty that everyone talks about? Let's get into it, okay? So Dark Souls is an action-oriented role-playing game, okay? It's not a turn-based. So it's more of along the lines of a dungeon crawler, a hack-and-slash game, but it's the complete opposite of the common game of that genre, okay? Dark Souls is an unforgiving game, okay? Right from the get-go, if you don't learn the controls where there's a light slash, a heavy slash, a block, a parry, a roll, running, jumping, a plunging attack, which is jumping off of a high ledge and coming down in midair with a swing. If you don't learn these controls within the first hour of the game, you're pretty fucked, okay? You're going to die repeatedly. The first boss in the game comes up relatively early in the game, and his weakness is this plunging attack that if you didn't learn it during the tutorial when they're telling you how to do it, he's probably a lot harder to beat. And the game kicks your fucking ass in the regards that, unlike other games where they're kind of forgiving, okay, you're attacking, you can take a couple hits, but then you kill everything. If you get hit just a couple times in this game, you're dead. To the point where some guys can one-hit kill you, a lot of guys can two-hit kill you, and more common enemies usually will 2 to 3 hit kill you. If you get ganged up upon by multiple enemies, you're probably going to die, unless you're really good at controlling spacing and blocking and defending and parrying, you're pretty much going to die. Really what this game is about is being extremely careful, learning and mastering the controls at a relatively quick pace, being able to know how to manage items very, very well, because you're not going to get an excessive amount of any kind of item. And you just basically have to play the game very smart. You have to use common sense to not just rush into groups of enemies. You can't just mash buttons mindlessly to get things to work. And I learned that the hard way, because the first day that I played Dark Souls, I didn't look anything up. I didn't, you know, sit there for hours studying and learning and practicing. I just jumped in and I died 1,000 fucking times, and I got really frustrated about it. Now that being said, some of the difficulty in Dark Souls is intentional, because they really don't tell you how to do a lot of the stuff in the game. Besides the very basic controls, there's a lot of really cryptic stuff that, unless you through trial and error, spend a significant amount of time trying to figure out, if you don't have a strategy guide or you don't use an online wiki or whatever to figure the stuff out, it's going to take you an insane amount of time to figure it out, making the game insanely difficult. For example, one of the most basic things you ever do in a role-playing game is cast a magic spell. In Dark Souls, it's never explained how to do this. It's never explained that there's particular vendors you can buy spells from. Then you have to make sure that your faith level and your intelligence rating are high enough to use that particular spell. Then you have to equip the spell in a attunement slot, which is another stat that you need to have in order to get that slot. And then you have to get a talisman and equip the talisman in your hand and switch that hand over to that particular talisman in order to finally cast the spell. Never is this explained in the game. And so, if you're an outsider who's never played this game, you're going to have no fucking clue what the hell's going on or how to do particular things in this game. The game expects you, it actually requires you to dedicate hours to figuring out how to do certain things, unless, like I said, use a strategy guide or a FAQ or a wiki, or in my case, I have fans who are telling me how to do certain things. So, it's pretty fucking hard to figure out a lot of basic things in this game that in other games would be more commonplace and easier to figure out, or just literally spoon-fed to you during the game. You know, this game wants you to figure it out for yourself, okay? Now, just because all that of what I'm talking about doesn't mean the game is bad by any means. What I'd like to talk about are a lot of the things I enjoy about the game. A lot of the unique things about this game that I think make it actually different from other games, and the reason why it's a selling point for the game, why people would want to play this game. And then I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that I didn't like about the game, okay? So, what do I like about the game? I like the fact that if you think before you act, you get rewarded, okay? Not rushing into a group of 5 people, but instead maybe using an arrow to just draw one of them and kill them off one at a time. Figuring out how to kill a boss that maybe is really difficult, and then you figure out that important strategy on how to kill it. That kind of stuff is intelligent gameplay. This is not one of these mindless games or pattern games like a lot of other hack and slash RPGs, where all you do is, oh, click, oh, here we go, I'm playing, he's not dead yet, okay, You're never going to be able to do that successfully in Dark Souls. You're going to get your ass handed to you on a silver platter, and you're going to die repeatedly, okay? And, you know, that's a good thing in the regards that I think a lot of the games today are getting really dumbed down, and I think a lot of people are sick of that. They like the throwback to the old games where you really had to figure stuff out, nothing was explained to you, you can spend time with the game, and feel like, you know, okay, I spent 80 hours playing Dark Souls, but I feel real good because I was smart enough to figure everything out in the game and beat all the hardest shit, and I survived it, and now I feel accomplished, okay? That's one of the cool things about it. The boss fights are fucking fun as hell, because the bosses range from just like larger versions of cool looking enemies to giant fucking epically sized bosses. The bosses are unique. And every boss fight is different in some way. Some boss fights are way different than others. And the music during these boss fights, everything is epic about them. I really enjoy fighting the bosses in this game. Even when they kicked my ass repeatedly, I still liked fighting them, okay? The graphic design. Now, it runs on the Havoc engine, which has been around for a while. So the graphics aren't anything to go gaga over, but it's still pretty impressive, And for a role-playing game, the number of locales, the variety in the graphic design, the variety in the enemies, a lot is to be said here that this game, they really put a lot of polish and a lot of time into it, okay? That's a cool thing about it. The other thing that I actually like this about the game, but I think it also is a detriment, but I like it in particular, is that it's an open world. It's not like other RPGs where you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing at all times because you can't go anywhere else until you beat this certain dungeon. In this case, you can find ways to wander into the wrong place with enemies that are just way hard for you to beat without you having certain equipment or whatever. And yeah, I like that open world aspect. It really makes you feel like you're in an interactive world and you need to figure shit out for yourself. The game never actually points you in the direction of where you're supposed to go, which is another reason why most people probably turn to strategy guides, wikis, and online tutorials to figure out exactly what they're supposed to be doing with this game. Now, I do want to talk about something that's very unique about this game. It's not something in particular that I delved into too much, simply because it can make the game a lot harder in some cases. This game has unique online play, okay? First of all, if you just connect your PlayStation and or Xbox to the internet, during the course of the campaign of the game, you will see messages that are actually written on the ground from other players. And these messages will say different things that can either help you or hurt you, depending on if that person was actually intentionally trying to help you, or maybe they were just trying to actually be malicious and fuck up your gameplay, okay? And, you know, an example would be sometimes you'll be at a ledge and it'll say, hey, treasure here. Oh, really? Well, let me jump off the ledge and find it. And then you die because there was no treasure. The guy was just fucking with you. But more often than not, these messages are pretty useful. Like, oh, there is a bonfire ahead. And so you look around, oh, there was a hidden wall here and I found the bonfire through the wall, okay? In addition to that, there are segments where you can see how people died by touching a blood stain on the ground. You can actually see people who are really playing the game online right now have just died in a certain area, and so you can be a little bit careful or wary of doing that same mistake. Also, you can see ghosts of other people who are playing near bonfires or other areas. So if you're in an area and someone else that is actually playing the game near you, you can see them there, which is pretty neat. They can't interact with you, but you have the ability to actually travel into other people's games in which you are basically harvesting the currency of the game, which is souls, and you can help them to actually beat bosses, and you get cool things for doing that. You know, items and things that can help you in your own campaign attempts. Or the flip side of that is that people can invade your game and join you and help you, or they could join you and hurt you and actually loot all the stuff in your world and fuck around with you. So the telling thing about this, though, is that the people cannot communicate with each other. No voice chat is enabled. So you can't actually say, hey, come here, we got to do this or that. They just have to kind of figure it out while you're playing with them what you're supposed to be doing. And that adds to the difficulty, but also the uniqueness of the game. I like that feature. That was one of the most enjoyable things about when I was playing this game. Reading these messages and trying to figure out, is this guy telling the truth, or is this guy really fucking with me? And then just determining more often than not that they were trying to help me, and I found some really neat stuff because of the messages and things going on in the game. I never had the time to delve into having people join my game or me joining other people's games. The major reason was because a lot of the time when I was playing the game, I was already uploading the footage of the playthrough, so it would have created lag if I tried to do that, but at the same time, I wanted to try to do as much as I could on my own, and you know, so that way I really never explored that facet of the game, but I understand how interesting and unique that can be. And now, we're going to move on to the parts where I talk about things I don't like about the game, my honest feelings about the game as a common gamer, not a fucking hardcore person, you know, who plays this kind of game all the time or dedicates a ridiculous amount of time for one game. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flame for it. I mean, the first day I played this game and I didn't learn everything ahead of time, I took a lot of shit for it. But you know what? It has to be said. It's honest. It's truthful. And this is how the common person is going to feel about this game. And you need to hear this because I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this game and they're kind of apprehensive. Should I get it or shouldn't I? Is this something that I'm going to get fucking pissed off about that I wasted $60 on? Or is this the kind of game that maybe there's a chance that I'll like it? You know, would the common gamer like this game? Alright? So here are the things I don't like about the game. The fact that a lot of things aren't explained to you. And I'm not talking about, oh, the secret treasure or the way to fight to kill this boss, stuff like that. Okay, that's the kind of stuff you should have to figure out during a game, okay? But not, how do you use a simple magic spell being so complicated and never explained anywhere in the game, not explaining critical functions of a game that are necessary to win, I don't agree with. I think that at least the game should explain to you what you're supposed to be doing, okay? And like I said, there is an open world, that's nice, but for people who aren't trying to play this game like an MMO, you know what I mean? A massively multiplayer online game where it is an open world and you can go anywhere. A lot of people for console games don't like that aspect. They would rather know where they're supposed to be going, or at least have a general idea of what they're supposed to be doing. While this game does not give you that at all they say is, go ring 2 bells. Good fucking luck figuring out where they are or what you're supposed to do when you get there. Just fucking go out there and kill shit. And that's all you're told, okay? The difficulty, okay? It's grueling. It's difficult. Now, there's 2 different kinds of difficulty. There's difficulty because there's a sharp learning curve, and then there's a difficulty because the game makers were fucking malicious. This game has both, okay? Yes, there is a very strong learning curve in learning the controls, in learning the way the world works, and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, here's how you succeed in the game. You play apprehensively, you play carefully, you gotta think like, if I were in real life, would I want to fight 5 guys at once or 1 guy? And you play it carefully, and most of the time if you play with common sense, you will succeed. The things that piss me off about the game are things that have nothing to do with common sense. Things that are traps, things that are meant to intentionally fuck you and make you have to replay multiple times things that you've already sped through and already beaten, but you have to beat them over and over and over to get to the next part. And there will be times when you will instantly die, and you're like, well, now I know that I instantly die that way. There was no way for me to know that before, but now I have to replay 15 minutes of gameplay to get back to where I was, okay? And that's fucking frustrating as hell, dying just for the sake of dying, for the sake of trial and error, until you figure out, should I have done X or should I have done Y here? And you say, oh, I should have done Y, but there was no way for me to learn that without dying and having to replay stuff, okay? Now, another thing that pisses me off about the game, the saving system and the soul system. The way the game works is the more things you kill, you earn souls. And the souls are used for multiple things. You can buy things from vendors, like weapons and items. You can level up your weapons and armor at blacksmiths. You can level up your character at bonfires. Bonfires are fires that you find, that allow you to save your game. And I like aspects of it and I don't like aspects of it. What I like is every time you find a bonfire, you automatically replenish all your healing items. That's cool. I like that. What I don't like is you automatically respawn every enemy in the game except for the uniques and the bosses, okay? So, you just spent 40 minutes to find this fucking bonfire. Yes, I finally did it. And now every enemy you just killed has reappeared. And it could really be frustrating because the problem is the game doesn't have a lot of bonfires. The bonfires aren't very frequent. The ones that you find are few and far between, and a lot of the times what the game ends up doing is giving you paths back to previous bonfires so that if you die, you can respawn from that bonfire and then come back. The problem being, a lot of the times you have to grind through dozens of enemies to get back to where you were when you died. And you might say, well, why do you need to get back to that exact place where you died? And the answer is, like I said, you gain souls as you kill things, and that's the currency of the game. It's necessary to get souls to succeed in this game and do anything in this game, but when you die, you lose them all, okay? You lose every soul that is on your body, and what happens is a green mist appears where you died. So now you have to go back to whatever previous bonfire you touched, and from there, fight your way back to where you were and touch the green mist. And I could understand that if there was a checkpoint system, meaning, okay, you died halfway through the dungeon, so the checkpoint is at the beginning of the dungeon, get to the center of the dungeon again and get your souls back. But it's not. It's go back to the previous bonfire, which could literally be 10 minutes away from the beginning of the dungeon, and then you have to get from the beginning of the dungeon to where you were, and it's so frustrating to have to repeatedly do this over and over, because as I said, the game is unforgiving, and when you first come up against certain areas and certain obstacles, you will die repeatedly. And dying repeatedly is going to piss you off because you have to keep going back and grinding back through shit you've already beaten to get to where you were. And it really is frustrating, that repetition aspect, especially for people who think, their time is precious. My time is precious. I don't want to replay the same part of the game 42 times just because there's another obstacle that I need to learn how to beat, and then I die the first time, go back, pass that one, then die at another one, go back, and you just keep replaying that same part of the game over and over and over until you finally get to the next bonfire. It's extremely time-consuming, frustrating, and for me, boring. And that's really where I want to go next with this review, is the difference between what I feel is challenge in a game and actually becoming hard work, something considered actual work, and the difference between having fun and putting in time and feeling accomplished, okay? Dark Souls, for me, is a kind of game that it's work, meaning it's so hard, okay? And keep in mind, I'm not a hardcore gamer. Like I said, I don't usually play games like this, I play everything, but I don't usually play games that are this hard. I didn't play Demon's Souls. So maybe it is actually even harder for me because I didn't have a background in what kind of a game this was going to be. But, that being said, for me, the fact that you have to, you died, go back to a bonfire, grind for another 10 minutes to get back to where you were, that's work. That's repetitive, boring, not fun to have to repetitively do this kind of stuff over and over and over because they decided to make this game so hard, okay? For some people, they would actually probably feel accomplished and say, wow, I got past this part that I was stuck on for 2 hours, that feels great. For me, having to replay the same thing for 2 fucking hours straight isn't my idea of fun. And when I play a video game, okay, I expect a video game, unless it is a competitive video game and I am participating in an actual tournament or competition, a video game is something that's supposed to be sat down, learned, sure, there has to be some kind of a period of learning, but then played and enjoyed, okay? And repetition to the point of how much Dark Souls makes you repeat certain things, unless, of course, you're using a strategy guide so you know exactly what you're supposed to do, or you found some exploits so you have godlike armor now and you don't die and stuff like that. The repetition makes the game boring, and it actually makes the game become what I consider work. You're putting in so much time, so much dedication to beat this game and to be good at it, that it's not proportionate to the amount of fun that you get out of the game. Now, that's my opinion. There may be people that like this kind of thing. They maybe actually think that the common game is too easy. They like challenging things. For me, I have no problem with challenge, but I think Dark Souls is challenging to the point where if I'm going to put in this much time and effort and repetition, I'd rather go do something else. I would. Maybe I'd like to go fucking learn something that could actually help me in the real world. You know what I mean? If I'm going to put in this many hours of time and dedication into something, I want to get something out of it. And, hate to say it, but 99.9% of the people that play Dark Souls don't get paid for it like I am, because I get paid when people watch my videos. Most people are going to say, no, this game, it requires too much fucking effort to beat it. And I don't know. I mean, I really think that indifferent people will like this game. There is an audience for this game. People who like these extremely hard, challenging games. They don't mind buying one game for $60 and playing it for 2 months. You know what I mean? They'll play it for 2 months and say, wow, that was a great game. For me, I want to play all the cool games. I have to get on to other games. I don't have the time to dedicate to one fucking game just because the game makers felt that this game had to be as difficult as it is. And that's another thing that I do want to say. I really feel that From Software, the designers of this game, really made the selling point of the game that it is so hard and unforgiving. Honestly, outside of that, what is very unique about Dark Souls? I mean, it's a dungeon crawler, you fight bosses, you use magic, you use healing items. You've played games like this before. Honestly, the only unique thing about the game is that it's so fucking difficult that you will spend a ridiculous amount of time learning it and having to play it completely differently from any other video game that you've played. So, is that enough to sell a game? You know what I mean? You just paid $60 to spend 80 hours playing a difficult game. But is that enough? For me, I judge a game off of everything. Innovation, gameplay, but fun factor is also a major part. And for me, unless I'm, winning at a game, I'm not necessarily having fun. Now, again, some people would like to spend 80 hours to beat this game and then they get the fun out of it. For me, 80-hour investment into one game just to beat it is too much. It's work. It's considered work. And so for me, for a person like me, you're probably going to think this game is not a good investment. You're going to say, well, it's okay, it's good to a point, but then when you finally get to the most difficult parts, like for me, when I got to Blighttown, which is a part of the game where it's so hard, okay, you're fighting completely unique enemies, you never fought anything like them before, they're killing you with only a couple hits, you get poisoned every time you get hit, you only have limited items to cure the poison, then later on, you end up walking into a bog, which is unavoidable, which poisons you while you're in there, and it's just like, it's enough. It's enough. I've had enough to the point where I don't want to invest any more time into this game because I know it's going to take me another 4 hours to get through this part of the game, and I'm just not getting enough reward out of this game. I'm not getting enough fun factor that it's worth it for me to grind through this fucking bullshit and get to the next part of the game and that next bonfire and keep playing. So, it's a unique style of game. I understand the people who would like it, but the common person probably isn't going to want to put up with the amount of difficulty that this game requires, the amount of repetition and work that this game requires to beat it. So honestly, for me, in comparison to all the other games that I've played, and especially the games recently, Dark Souls is not a bad game. In fact, it's a good game. In fact, in some parts, it's a great game. When you figure out how to do something that's difficult, or when you kill a really big cool boss, you actually say, yes, this is great. But then, you kind of get disappointed because like, fuck, now I gotta spend another couple hours figuring out where to go. Now I gotta spend another couple hours grinding through a new dungeon till I get to another place where I can say, ah, that felt good. And for me, those spots are too few and far between. So, for me, in comparison to all the other games that I've played this year, I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually gonna give Dark Souls an 8. An 8 out of 10. And I know you were all expecting me to probably slam the game and say that it's a bad game. It's not a bad game by any means. It's just a fucking hard-ass game to play. For me, it's not Game of the Year. And I know a lot of people might disagree. It's going to be those people who love this style of difficult game and unique gameplay in that, you know, it is so difficult. But for me, the fact that the game is difficult doesn't make it a game that makes it so amazingly good. I think that's good to appeal to that niche audience, and some people are going to love it for that, but definitely the common person is not going to love it for that. So for me, judging it off of fun factor, the fact that the common person won't want to invest the amount of repetition and work that it takes to beat this game, I can't give it any higher than an 8, okay? So that's Dark Souls in a nutshell. I hope that you now have a more fair and balanced understanding of what this game is. And if it is for your forte to go out there and spend $60 to spend, 80 hours on a game and repetitively die and you're okay with that as long as you can eventually overcome it, this is your game. But if you're the kind of person like me who doesn't want to put ridiculous amounts of work into a video game, something you're supposed to be doing, that you're not competing, you're not trying to win money doing this, you're just playing a single player game, a campaign, and you don't want to put that kind of investment into it, this isn't going to be your game. And I get the feeling that probably it's like an 80-20 split. 20% of the people will love it, 80% of the people will not want to play this game. So it's an 8 out of 10. Could be better, but the selling point is that it's difficult, so it is what it is. And some people will say it's Game of the Year, and some people will hate it. I see things kind of, from a unique light, and I think that it's a great game, but it's definitely not a Game of the Year contender because of what it is. Okay? So that's it. And I'm sorry I didn't get to beat the game. I know I really wanted to, but at one point, like I said, I got to Blighttown, I said, no mas, enough. I've put enough time and frustration into the game. I know I could keep going, but I just have other things I want to do. There's other things coming up. I don't want to invest any more time. I'm not getting enough out of the game for me to play it, but I still wanted to give you an idea of what I felt about the game so that you know whether or not you should make it a purchase on your list, okay? So that's it for the Hateful Truth game reviews this time around. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope it helped you out in figuring out if you like this game or not, and I'll see you guys later.